Hi guys, how you doing? Today is a really it's a lesson for beginners really. We're going to talk about scales and the importance of learning visual shapes and patterns, as well as learning the technique on the instrument, of course, and the theory behind it. We should also use our visual abilities as well to memorize things. A lot of students have trouble remembering pattern shapes and scale shapes and stuff, or transposing things around the neck until they get a little bit more advanced. So what I'm going to talk about today is a very, very simple method that you can use to make your memory better, basically, and to be able to visualize your patterns on the fretboard much more efficiently. And this is what I did many years back when I was studying. I would rely on diagrams like this. These are called fretboard diagrams, and we're going to look at the scale of C major. You'll notice that I've written here A string, 3rd fret. So that means that we're starting on the 3rd fret of the A string here for the root note C. Okay, this is a diagram for a 5-string bass, so please ignore this low string. This is a low B, E, A, D, G. Okay, so we're going to start on the 3rd fret here and play up through our scale of C major, and we're going to obey the 1 note per finger rule, okay, or 1 fret per finger rule. So I call this the 2nd finger position C major scale. Alright, and you'll see I've written the pattern out here: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Translate that same pattern to the fretboard using the 1 fret per finger rule, and you get your C major scale. Nice and simple, right? Also, as you can see, I have written some of the dots on the diagram are in red. Now the reason I did that is because those are the arpeggio notes. So if you follow those red dots, you get that, which is a C major 7 arpeggio. And it's very simple why it's a C major 7 arpeggio. If you count the notes in the scale, C, that's 1, D is 2, E, 3, F4, G5, A6, B7, and then back to C an octave higher. So that's why it's a C major 7, because you have a major arpeggio with a 7th on top. So you have 1, 3, 5, 7. And those are what the red dots represent. That's called an arpeggio. Okay, so that's a very useful starting point for learning your instrument and getting to grips with theory and scale shapes and patterns stuff. Once you've learned it in that position, right, from the 3rd fret, the next position is to shift it. The next step is to shift it up an octave. That's not here. That's from a different fret. I want you to focus on the A string, and you're going to shift it up an octave on the A string to the 15th fret, and you're going to play exactly the same fingering there. Okay, it's simple. So once you've learned the shape and how it looks, you know, visually, you can start to transpose it all over the place. That's how a major pattern looks. That's how a major arpeggio looks. Now the final step in this stage of learning is to take your C major scale and arpeggio pattern and play it on the E string. So have a think about where is C, where is the root note going to be on the E string, and then follow the same pattern. Right, so if you know your notes on the fretboard, you'll know that this is an F. That's open E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so you can find it on the E string and then play exactly the same pattern from there. Right? So that makes it really easy to just move patterns around. And today we've looked specifically at this second finger position because it starts from the second finger. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4 fingering. But one thing that you should know is that there are actually 3 ways of playing every arpeggio, sometimes more, but certainly there are 3 ways of playing every arpeggio at least, and it is worth knowing all of them. So what I aim to do in these simple lessons is just talk simply about scales and arpeggios. Today we've looked at the C major scale in the second finger position. And the next time I'm planning to do C major, but we'll do it again, but we'll do it in the 3rd finger position. And then finally we'll do it in the first finger position, which is the hardest. But once you get used to all of these things and the way they look on the fretboard, you'll improve your visual memory. And that is key, I think, to being able to join the dots on the fretboard. So what I recommend you do, don't refer to this video every time you forget what the major scale looks like. Actually get yourself a piece of paper, make a template like this, and draw it out yourself. Okay? So if you do that, you are inputting that image through your hand and through your eyes as well, and then you are playing it. Right? So you won't forget it. After that you will know it, and it doesn't take long. So that's my advice to you. Use pen and paper. Don't use a computer. If you use a computer, you are inputting things using a keyboard or a mouse. Well, maybe it's okay, but I think the actual action of writing, the direct connection between the hand and the brain, and the eyes and the brain, will imprint that image much stronger. So that's my advice to you. I would keep a little book with your scale and arpeggio diagrams and even chord diagrams. And that's the last thing I want to do today, is just to show you the chord shape, because we've looked at the scale and arpeggio, but every time you learn a scale, always learn its chord. So the last thing we're going to do today is learn the chord of C major. And as I said, a chord is made up of the notes in the arpeggio. But on the bass guitar, it's not a piano, so we can't play as many notes together because of the way the strings are arranged. So what we often do is we either just play the root, the 3rd and the 5th, or we play the root, the 3rd and the 7th. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to play jazz chords. We're going to play 7ths. So for our intents and purposes now, let's obey the one finger per fret rule. And you're going to take the root and the third and the seventh of the C major and play them together. And that gives you your chord. And again, do it in the 3 positions. You'll find that the ones lower down sound muddy, but don't worry about that. You can hear the true quality of the chord higher up. But the main thing is to know the shape and the sound. Okay, so and once you've achieved that, then you can go to your chord diagram, and you can go to your neck diagram, and you can write out the shape. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is 15th fret. Sorry, this should be on the A string, by the way. So, looks like that. So there's my C major 7. And once I've done that, now I know how to play the chord, the scale, and the arpeggio. And it doesn't take long. And I think it's worth making yourself a template, like I said before, and writing it out by hand, as well as, of course, practicing it on your instrument. So that is my advice for today, and I'll just recap what we went through. So we went through 3 positions for C major using the second finger position. And we also looked at the arpeggios, which we deliberately write in a different color on the diagram, so that we can see visually where they fit within the scale. And we played that an octave higher. And then we also played it from the E string. And then finally, we extracted the chords. We extracted the C major 7 chord from each position. Okay. So that gives us a much more thorough and solid knowledge of what the major scale looks, sounds like, and its arpeggio as well. So there you go. I recommend you do that for every single scale and arpeggio that you learn. I will be doing more of these lessons because I think from a lot of students that I've had, there's a lot of gaps in their knowledge, the ability they've come to me with gaps in their knowledge, and the ability to transpose or recognize shapes has been limited to just the lower regions of the neck, and the realization that these shapes can just be transposed has been lost on them. So that's always something that I've been trying to set straight in their minds too, so that they can improve their visual memory. So that's it. In conclusion, visual memory is very, very important when learning the guitar or the bass guitar. It will help you to memorize scale patterns, arpeggio patterns, and feel more comfortable and confident on your instrument in the long run. So I hope that's been useful to you, and I'll see you again for another one of these lessons soon.